The great alien city of Vornok Prime stood tall with its silver towers and glowing lights, full of strange creatures from many worlds. Ships flew overhead. Giant screens showed news of wars, trade, and trials. But today, the council chamber was crowded, for something different. A human was on trial. His name was Daniel. A simple human, no armor, no special powers, just calm eyes and a silent mouth. He stood in chains while the tall alien judges stared down at him from their seats made of black stone. Around him, many alien species watched with mocking eyes. They whispered things like, "Why is he still alive?" and "Just send him to the jungle already." The council leader, a slim alien with green skin and 6 glowing eyes, stood up. "Daniel of Earth," he said loudly, "you are here because you broke our sacred rules. You interfered in our hunt, saved a prisoner, and dared to speak against a warrior of the Zarn race. You should be executed. But we are ... merciful." Laughter filled the room. Daniel didn't move. He didn't speak. He just looked straight ahead, calm. The council leader grinned. "Instead of death, you will be given a test. You will be sent into the wild jungles of Zarkon Prime. You will survive there for 1 week. If you return alive ... unlikely. Then we will talk again." The room roared with laughter again. Everyone knew the jungle of Zarkon Prime was a death sentence. No one came back from there, not even trained soldiers. It was full of giant creatures, poisonous plants, and things that didn't have names. It was a place of nightmares. Daniel's chains were removed. 2 guards grabbed him and dragged him toward a ship. As he passed the crowd, an alien spit near his feet. "Weak human," the creature growled. "You'll be dead by morning." Still, Daniel said nothing. He was thrown into a small landing pod and locked inside. No weapons, no food. Just a single wrist tracker that showed how much time he had left. 7 days the pod launched. It shook violently as it broke through the atmosphere of Zarkon Prime. Outside the window, green clouds swirled. Lightning cracked the sky. The jungle below was thick, dark, and wet. When the pod landed, it hissed open. Rain poured down like a storm. Daniel stepped out, blinking against the wind and water. The trees were massive, glowing slightly in the dark. Strange sounds echoed all around him: growls, hisses, roars. He took a deep breath. He wasn't angry. He wasn't scared. He'd been ready for this from the moment he stepped into the council room. Daniel wasn't like the others. He walked forward slowly, careful with every step. He didn't run. He knew predators hunted the fast and the loud. He moved like part of the jungle, blending with the sound and rhythm of the rain. Hours passed. He found shelter under a large stone overhang just as night began to fall. The jungle changed with the darkness. Lights blinked from plants. Eyes glowed. In the shadows, something screeched in the distance. Daniel made no fire. He didn't want attention. Instead, he sharpened a stone and tied it to a long vine, making a crude spear. He ate leaves and bugs. Not tasty, but enough to live. As he lay quietly, he thought about Earth, about his home, about how they called humans weak, soft, unworthy. Of war. He smiled to himself. Let them think that. Let them believe he was just another soft-skinned human who couldn't survive a night in their deadly jungle. Tomorrow, he would prove them wrong. Not with words, but with action, and somewhere deep. In the jungle, a beast opened its eyes. A creature older than the stars, feared by all races. Even the Zarn. It smelled something new. Something ... different. Something human. And it began to move. The jungle was not asleep. It never slept as the human rested beneath the stone overhang. Dozens of glowing eyes opened in the trees above. Tiny flying bugs hummed low like whispers. Long vines moved slowly, not from the wind, but because something was crawling across them. Watching Daniel closely, Zarkon Prime was alive, and it didn't welcome strangers. Daniel opened his eyes before the sun rose. He hadn't truly slept, just stayed still and alert. He had heard something moving all night, something large. It never attacked, it only circled him, studied him. He stood up quietly and stepped out into the thick morning mist. His handmade spear was in his hand, but his eyes were sharp. He moved slowly, like he didn't want to disturb the jungle. Suddenly, a high-pitched cry. It wasn't far. He rushed forward, stepping carefully, ducking under low-hanging branches and glowing leaves. The sound came again, this time louder. And then he saw it. A small creature, only about the size of a child, was trapped beneath a heavy fallen tree branch. Its eyes were wide with fear. Its skin was a mix of soft blue and silver, and it whimpered in pain. Daniel didn't think twice. He knelt, used his full strength, and rolled the branch off the creature. It scrambled backward at first, unsure whether he was a threat. But then, it looked at him and did something strange. It bowed its head, just once. Then it ran into the jungle and vanished. Daniel blinked. Strange, but something was stranger. When he turned around, he saw giant claw prints in the mud, fresh, deep, not far from where he had just been sleeping. The beast had been there, close, watching him. Why didn't it attack? Why had it let him live? He moved on, more careful now. The prints were massive, larger than any foot he had ever seen. And wherever they led, other creatures had cleared the way. Broken branches, trampled plants. No other predators followed. This path, only prey ran from it. That's when he understood this jungle had a king, a true apex predator, and he was walking right into its domain. But Daniel didn't turn back. He kept moving, step by step. He didn't know why, but something told him this was the path he needed. For hours, the prints led him deeper. The trees grew taller. The air got heavier. The animals vanished. No more sounds. Just silence. Then, he saw it. Massive, standing between two trees like a living mountain, covered in thick fur that shimmered with rain. Eyes like burning stars. Muscles like living steel. The beast, the one the aliens thought would kill him. It looked at Daniel with curiosity, not rage. Not hunger, and Daniel did something insane. He dropped his spear, raised his hand slowly. No fear, only challenge. The beast growled, low and powerful. It stepped forward, so did Daniel. The jungle, which had always watched in silence, now held its breath. Something ancient was happening, something the aliens would never understand. Not war, not fear, but a bond, and this was only the beginning. The beast didn't roar, it didn't charge, it simply stared. Its eyes, glowing like red suns behind thick layers of fur, locked onto Daniel's. One step, then another, slow and steady. Every movement made the ground rumble. Every breath from its nostrils sent steam curling into the cold jungle air. Daniel didn't move. His heartbeat was fast, but his face was calm. No fear, just focus. The spear lay behind him, forgotten. This moment wasn't about weapons. It was about something deeper. Older, the beast stopped a few feet away. Taller than a tank, built like a nightmare. Its mouth opened slightly, revealing long black fangs, but it didn't bite. It was testing him, waiting. Daniel spoke his first words in days. "I'm not here to fight you," he said softly. "I'm here because they thought you would kill me." Silence. A long silence. And then it lowered its head. Daniel froze. The beast's nose touched the ground, eyes still locked on him. Not submission, not weakness. Something else, respect or curiosity. Daniel slowly reached forward. His fingers shook slightly, but he didn't pull back. He touched the beast's thick fur, warm, alive, it didn't flinch. And just like that, the jungle changed. Birds returned to the trees. The wind carried soft sounds again. It was as if the jungle had accepted him too. But far above, hidden in a drone satellite, someone else was watching. The alien council had left a secret recorder to track his death. What they saw now made them silent. A human, touching the Death King. One alien whispered in shock. "He should be bones by now," said another. The council leader leaned forward. "Keep watching. This must be a trick." But it wasn't. A trick. Daniel sat down beside the beast as the sun set behind the trees. The monster curled around him like a living wall, and as night came, nothing in the jungle dared to come close. He wasn't just surviving, he was becoming something far more dangerous. He was bonding with what even the aliens feared, and deep within the beast's ancient mind, something new stirred trust, maybe. Even loyalty. But the test wasn't over. Not yet. The jungle had more secrets, and someone, or something, was about to challenge his place beside the king. By the third night, the beast had stopped walking ahead of Daniel. Now, it walked beside him. The two didn't speak. One had no words, and the other had no need. But something ancient had formed between them, a connection older than language. The jungle watched them with quiet respect. Even the trees, it seemed, bent away from their path. Daniel had named the beast Ashka. He wasn't sure why. Maybe it was a word from a dream, or maybe it just felt right. Ashka never reacted to the name, but never walked away either. Together, they moved deeper into the jungle, where even the plants were deadly. Trees with glowing mouths, vines that hissed when touched. And still, Ashka led with calm. Daniel followed, without fear. But peace never lasted long in Zarkon Prime. It came at dawn, a strange clicking sound. Daniel looked up. The sky, once quiet, was now buzzing with movement. Silvery shapes darted between the treetops, long, lean creatures with blades. Instead of arms and black skin like wet stone, hunters, not native to the jungle. Not natural at all. Daniel ducked just as one flew at him, its claws slicing the air where his head had been. Ashka roared a sound so loud the trees shook. The beast lunged upward, teeth snapping, catching one of the flying things mid-air and slamming it into the ground with bone-breaking force. But more came. 5, 10. Too many. Daniel grabbed a sharp bone from the jungle floor and spun, stabbing at one of the attackers that flew too low. Blood dark and oily splashed his face. He and Ashka fought back to back, man and monster, flesh and fury. Ashka took wounds, deep cuts along his side. Daniel's arms were burning, his body scratched and bruised. But they didn't fall, they didn't run. They stood their ground, and soon the creatures began to fall back. One by one, they vanished into the mist, leaving trails of blood and broken branches. Silence returned. Daniel knelt beside Ashka, panting. "You all right, big guy?" he asked. Ashka groaned low and slow, but didn't collapse. Daniel tore cloth from his shirt and pressed it against the beast's wounds. They had been tested, not by nature, but by someone watching. Someone who had sent those flying killers back at the alien council chamber. Alarms buzzed. What were those things? One alien asked. "Not ours," said another. "Not part of the jungle's design." The council leader's face turned pale. Someone else is trying to kill him. But Daniel didn't care who sent them. Not anymore. Because in that moment, kneeling beside a bleeding beast larger than any machine. He realized something important. They were in this together, no longer prey, and no longer alone. Ashka's wounds were deep, but the beast didn't whimper. He lay on his side near a pool of glowing water, while Daniel washed the blood from his thick fur. The blue light made the beast's skin shimmer, and steam rose from its body with every breath. Daniel's hands shook not from fear, but from exhaustion. They had survived again. But it was getting harder. Daniel looked up at the sky. Clouds moved fast. The stars were hidden. The air was heavy, filled with a strange scent like burnt metal and wet leaves. Something was coming. He could feel it in his bones. Ashak opened one eye. The beast was watching him. Daniel smiled weakly. "You saved my life again," he whispered. Ashka didn't growl. Instead, the giant beast reached out with one paw, massive and rough, and tapped Daniel's chest. Softly, it was the first time Ashka had ever touched him like that, and it meant something. Suddenly, the ground beneath them lit up. A glowing pattern began to spread across the jungle. Florentine symbols, burning like fire but cool to the touch. Daniel jumped back. Ashka didn't move. The light flowed beneath the beast and then wrapped around Daniel's feet. He tried to run. He couldn't. He was frozen. Then a voice, but not from the trees. Not from the sky, from inside his mind. "You are chosen," it said. "You are marked." Daniel's eyes widened. "What?" The voice continued, slow and echoing. "The jungle accepts you. The beast accepts you. Now, ... take your place." And just like that, the light vanished. Daniel stumbled back, breathing hard. The glow was gone, but something was different. His arms were warm. His chest burned slightly. Like a sun had touched his skin. He looked down. A symbol was burned into his chest, swirling mark just like the one beneath. Ashka's paw, linked, marked .ashka, stood slowly, his wounds already beginning to close. The jungle had seen everything, and now it had chosen. Far away. In the alien council chamber, screens flashed red. The tracking system stopped working. The human signal was gone. "He's vanished," one of the aliens said. "Dead." Asked another, ... "No, ... "Worse," said the council leader. "He's bonded with the jungle." Silence followed. Not even the war generals spoke, because everyone knew Zarkan Prime had never accepted anyone, and now it had accepted a human. Daniel sat beside Ashka that night without speaking. He looked up at the black sky and whispered to himself. "You didn't send me here to die," he said. "You sent me here to become something else." But even he didn't yet know what. On the seventh morning, the jungle whispered his name, not in words, not out loud, but in the way. The trees leaned toward him, in the way the wind followed his steps, in the way even the hunters and shadows cleared his path. Daniel walked with purpose. Ashka walked beside him, his wounds healed, his eyes glowing, brighter than ever. The mark on Daniel's chest still pulsed, warm like a heartbeat, as if the jungle itself was inside him now. He wasn't just surviving anymore. He was something else, something the aliens could never control. And now he was going back to the ones who had sent him here to die. Back to the city of Vornok Prime. Ashka growled softly as they neared the edge of the jungle. The trees grew thinner. The sky opened. In the distance, silver towers sparkled under the twin suns. Ships buzzed in the sky like insects. The same place that once laughed at him now waited in silence. Daniel stepped forward. Out of the trees, and every sensor in the alien city screamed. At once, warning. Life form detected. Danger. classified apex creature approaching. Guards scrambled. Shields went up. Weapons turned, but they didn't fire. Because no one could believe what they were seeing. A human walking with the Death King of Zarkan beside him, not in chains, not injured, but calm, obedient, loyal. The council tower went dark as leaders rushed to gather. Cameras zoomed in on the human's chest, the glowing mark that pulsed like a second heart. A sacred mark, known in old alien lore. A mark given only to jungle spirits, never to outsiders, and certainly never to a human. Daniel kept walking, step by step, as thousands of aliens lined the streets. None dared to speak. None dared to move. Even the warlords stood still. Ashka growled once, and the silence grew deeper. Daniel stopped at the steps of the Grand Council chamber. He looked up. He didn't need to knock. The doors opened on their own. Inside, the leaders trembled. "You?" "Returned," one of them said in disbelief. Daniel nodded once. "I did, and the beast, it obeys you." Daniel looked at Ashka, then back at them. "No," he said quietly. "We obey each other. No threats, no speeches. Just truth. And that truth was more terrifying than any weapon, because the jungle had made him something new, something even the council couldn't name. But one word echoed through their minds now: power. And it wasn't theirs anymore. The council chamber, once the heart of galactic power, now felt small. The giant beast Tashka stood just behind Daniel, silent, unmoving, yet more terrifying than an army. No chains, no threat. Just presence, the same council that once mocked. The human now refused to meet his eyes. Daniel stepped forward. His boots echoed on the polished floor. Each step was a reminder that he was not supposed to be here. He was supposed to be bones in the mud. Another forgotten trial, another week. Human. But now, he was legend. The council leader cleared his throat. "We recognize your survival as proof of strength," he said. "You have earned temporary status." Daniel looked up, expression calm. "Temporary." The leader flinched another. Alien stood up. This one, older, wiser, with dark ridges across his forehead. "You bear the mark of Zarkan. That mark has not been seen in over 10,000 years. Daniel slowly opened his shirt. The symbol glowed like fire across his chest. It pulsed alive. Double quotes. "Then maybe it's time you stop seeing me as human," Daniel said, "and start seeing me as something more." Ashka growled once. Softly, the ground trembled. The leader swallowed hard. "What do you want?" Daniel looked around at the banners, at the guards, at the empty pride in their eyes. Then he said just one word: respect. A long silence followed. One that no one dared break. Then he turned his back on the council. He walked away, not as a prisoner, not as a guest, but as the man who conquered the unconquerable. Aliens watched from rooftops. Civilians fell to their knees. Children pointed at the beast. Beside him with wide eyes, he didn't wave. He didn't boast. Because legends didn't need to shout. They just needed to return. And as the ship's doors opened for him and Ashka, single alien soldier whispered, "He was supposed to die." Another replied softly, but now even death wouldn't dare. The doors closed, the engines roared, and just like that, he was gone. But the fear he left behind, that would stay forever.